Well, today's video is brought to you by my frustration. Oh, am I frustrated. Now, before we get into the video, please understand, I'm not making this stuff up. This is what I deal with on a daily basis running a small business as a one-person operation. So I'm going to help you to hopefully not suffer the same things that I've been suffering today. So who am I? My name is Mike Patterson. I'm a professional, full-time photographer located in southern Alberta, Canada. I run a full-service studio as well as a full-service photo lab. I'm a one-person operation. Everything that's done here is, well, it's my responsibility. And today, it was a nightmare. And what happened? Well, a customer phoned me looking for a picture. Hey, good thing. They want to buy one of my prints. So I went online. I actually had everything caught up here. Everything was looking really good. Showed them where the print was, where they could order it on the store. Then I clicked on something and I realized, oh, hold on. Some of the newer prints aren't listed. That's weird. Then I clicked on something else and I realized, wait, that's missing too. And that's missing and that's missing. And within less than a minute, I went from being caught up, being pretty organized, to having, well, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks worth of work, maybe even more to get caught up. And I see this so often with people that are running, well, a full-time job or they're working part-time, whether they're a photographer, whether they're like selling widgets, whether they have a craft that they're selling, whatever. I see it happening so much, and it's mainly because there's so much online that we have to deal with. Now, for me, as an example, I'm watching all my computers here. I have my online store, which is currently on this computer over here. I have my emails on this computer over here. On this computer back behind me, I have Facebook, Instagram, and some other stuff that I work on. So I currently have 3 computers on the go. I have a lot of stuff to get caught up on. I have a lot of stuff to do. And it seems like every time I do one thing, 10 more things get added onto it. So how do I deal with it? How do I not pull out the little bit of hair that I have left? Well, here's some suggestions. First of all, understand, no matter if you're a one-person operation or if you're the head of a 500-person company, understand that there's very little that is going to kill your business immediately if you don't get to it within the next 10 seconds. It may seem like it. It may seem like it's the world's biggest problem, biggest issue, that you need to do it right now. But there's very, very little that is that important. I had a perfect example a number of months ago. I was listening to somebody online. They were doing a podcast and they were saying how this is an insane schedule. They do a Facebook post, an Instagram post, a Twitter post. They do a YouTube short, and then they do a full YouTube video. Everything except for the full YouTube video is done daily. The YouTube video is done weekly. That's what they did constantly. As well, they also had TikTok. They had so many other things. This person was doing really well. They had done it for over a year, and then something happened. They got sick. They couldn't do it, and they had to take over a week off. After the week was done, they came back, went to get into things, and they realized that nobody even missed them being online. Nobody even noticed that they weren't posting on Facebook, that they didn't post on Instagram, that they didn't post on Twitter, that they hadn't done a YouTube short. Nobody even noticed. Now, if you're selling products online, sure. If you're not posting products, if you're not listing stuff, your sales are going to go down. But honestly, think about it. Think about how important. Think about the people. Are they really sitting there hitting refresh constantly, waiting for you to post something? Probably not. So just take it all with a grain of salt. Number 2, and if you could see around here, you would know I am a paper person. I write notes, lots of notes. Sit down and write what you need to do. I hate using my phone. I hate using stuff online. I've got so many computers around here. The problem with writing anything online, on my phone, on my computer, whatever is, I have to open that app. With paper, I can write down a note. I can put a piece of paper there. I can write another note, put a piece of paper there. I can start. I can do so much stuff with it. Sit down and write what you need to do. Address what is actually in front of you. So for instance, and I'm just going to, one of the things I've dealt with today, update online store. Okay. When that customer phoned me, she said she was looking for a print. I sent her to the print, but I realized that a number of my most recent prints were not online. So I needed to update them. So I immediately thought, what prints are not there? Well, one was high-level bridge picture. I live in Lethbridge, Alberta. I saw a lot of high-level bridge pictures, so I wrote down that one. I have a new owl picture, so I put owl picture. I have a couple shots of Waterton Lakes National Park. I want to get those updated. And then I thought, okay, well, that pretty much gets me up to where I need to be. So I put that list down. And then I realized, shoot, I need to put after I do the store, after I list the products, I need to put those links onto my Facebook posts that I have of those products. So I wrote another list, update Facebook, add links to, and then I wrote down the stuff I need to add links to. Once I got that done, I realized that I wanted to get some stuff out ready for Christmas. So I wrote down Christmas promotions. And then I wrote down some of the ideas I had for Christmas promotions. Now, some of those I'm not going to use. Some of those I'm just going to put a line through and say that was a stupid idea. Some of them I'm going to think, hey, that's a really good idea, but just not worth it to do right now. Other ones I'm going to get to. So write it down, get things organized. Then, as your next thing, start slowly. Very few people, even if you're full-time, can you spend 20, 30, 40, 80 hours on one project. As an example, again, all my computers here. As I'm talking to you, I have emails coming in from customers that I need to address. As I'm talking to you, I have orders coming in that will need to be printed or need to be addressed, and I'll need to respond to them and say, yes, you can do this, or no, you can't do this. I have my updates that I need here. If I was just to spend all my time for the next 2 weeks doing my updates, all this other stuff would fall behind. So start your updates, start whatever you need to do. Start posting on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, whatever you're posting on, your shop, your website, whatever. Start doing little posts, start getting stuff going, but don't spend the rest of your life on that one area because you'll fall behind really fast. Now, in addition to that, this is one that people always hate to hear. Start prioritizing your life. Now, I don't mean this has to be a permanent thing. I don't mean that you have to do this like for the next 10 years. I'm just saying sit down and realize where you're at. Perfect example. A number of years ago, I had a really good photographer that came to me that was having trouble selling their stuff online. I told them what they needed to do, and they swore they did not have any time to do it. Well, I found out that the reason they didn't have any time to do it was because they came home, they sat down, they had a drink, then they made supper, then they watched TV while they're having supper, then they did the dishes, then they watched some more TV, then they went out with a friend or two, and then they went, and then they did. Well, their night was all full of other stuff. All they needed to do was free up an hour here, an hour there, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, and get moving into this area that they had problems with. Now, I hate to say it, but after a couple of years of this person not having enough time for doing anything, they just decided to shut their whole business down. And now they're regretting that they did that because they've lost all the impact that they did have. And if they start over again, they're going to have to start from scratch. So just take a little bit of time out of your schedule. Just work on things a little bit at a time. You don't need to do all these hours. You don't need to stop eating supper. You don't need to stop seeing all friends. You don't need to stop watching all TV. But you also don't need to watch 8 hours of TV a night. You just don't. So take some time and get stuff done. And finally, as you're doing stuff, you would think it's going to get easier. Well, for the first little while, it's actually going to get harder. What do I mean by that? Well, perfect example. Again, my online store. I'm sitting here, I'm going, I need to do that, I need to do that. Okay, I can add those products. So I went to add the products, and then I realized I was missing a category. Oh, now I have to develop the category. Then I have to develop the products for that category. And then I have to, what was just a 5-minute job, 10-minute job of adding a few products, I now had to build a category for those products. So I wrote down a note, have to do this, have to do that. Well, as soon as I wrote down the note, I realized the reason I didn't have a category was because I had mislabeled another category, and now I had to go clean that up. And the list just got bigger and bigger, and it got more frustrating. It didn't get less frustrating as I started doing stuff. So understand, as you start doing things, you may be checking things off the list, you may be moving ahead, but you may also be falling further behind. Again, don't panic. Take it a little bit at a time. If you need to, rate it between 1 and 3. 1 being sort of important, 3 being have to do it right now. And say, okay, what needs to be 3? Well, this needs to be 3, this needs to be 3, this needs to be 3. What's a 2? This, and this. What's a 1? This. Maybe even write a 0. 0 is something that I would like to do, but if I don't get it done, not life or death, doesn't have to be done. Good idea, look at it later. And categorize stuff so that you know how to work on it. Then as you add something new, figure out where that fits. For me, adding in that new category, that was a number 5 out of a scale of 1 to 3. Had to be done before I could go any further. It just had to be done. But you know what? As I was doing it, I thought, well, I need to do Christmas promotions. Where does Christmas promotions come in? Well, it's not even November yet. So Christmas promotions are a 0, maybe a 1. So I put that down. Okay, do Christmas promotions. As I was putting down do Christmas promotions, I wrote under it a few ideas that I wanted for Christmas promotions. Now I have my Christmas promotion ideas almost all figured out. Not quite, but I know at least where I'm going with it. So if you have a small business, if you have an online presence, if you're feeling overwhelmed, take the following or take the previous things I just talked about and apply them to your problem, and hopefully that things will get even better for you. So get some work done, get caught up, and I'll talk to you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.